In this brand new video, you will now discover iterations in Python, using for and while loops, so you can improve the execution flow of your program. Please, do not forget to smash that like button, for the YouTube algorithm, since it does really help supporting us, and providing new free content, once a week. Are you interested to be part of this community? All the links are in the description below. Now, let's play this video. Definition. Loops in Python are an efficient method for optimizing your code, and executing multiple statements. If the same block of code has to be executed multiple times, over and over, you can put it into a loop, to perform multiple iterations, and get the same desired output. Consequently, it saves a lot of effort, and reduces complexity of the code, as well. Basically, there are two types of iteration in programming languages: definite iteration, in which the number of repetitions is specified, explicitly, and in advance. This kind of iteration is performed using for loops, and has been discussed in the previous video. Indefinite iteration, in which the code block executes, until some condition is met. This iteration is performed using while loops, and will be discussed in the next section. While loops. The while statement in Python is a bit different from what you usually use in other programming languages. Rather than iterating over a numeric progression, or over the items of an iterable, like strings, dictionaries, lists, tuples and sets, or any other iterable objects. While loops are traditionally used when you have a block of code which you want to repeat indefinitely, and as long as an expression is true, or a particular condition is met. You generally use this loop when you do not know beforehand how many iterations are going to take place. Do not forget to contrast the while statement with the for loop, used when you want to repeat a block of code for a fixed number of times. Okay, but what does it look like, and how to control the execution flow of your program, using while loops? Let's move forward, and have a look at the syntax of the while statement. While condition. Statement 1. Statement 2. Etc. Here is a simple declaration of while loop. First, execution starts and checks whether the condition is true. When the condition is true, it enters the while loop, and executes the indented statements inside the while loop. After one iteration, the condition is checked again. And this process continues until the condition evaluates to false. As soon as the condition is false, its execution skips the while loop, and moves to the next following statements in the program. Please also note that Python interprets any non-zero value or non-empty container as true. Consequently, none, zero and empty sequence will be interpreted as false. And if the condition is false at the start, the while loop will never be executed. Let's have a more practical and very simple example, so you can discover and understand how to properly use Python loops in your program. First, declare an integer I with the value of 6. Then, you will iterate and execute the block of code inside the while loop, which will print I and decrement the variable. Thus, on each iteration, this expression will be evaluated again, until it becomes false, or 0, in that specific case. If you are not used to decrement a variable with this syntax, variable minus equals 1, please check the suggested video on the operators in Python. In the above example, the execution starts with the variable I equals 6. Then it tests whether the expression I is true, or I equals 0. As long as the condition is true, it will enter and execute the statements inside the loop. Until it becomes false, then it will proceed with the statements after the loop. It is a very simple example of how you can use while loops in Python. Of course, there are many other alternatives you can use, and go through any iterable object, as well. Here is another example, when you want to iterate through every single item of a list. First, let's declare a list of strings, and add a few strings to this list. Then, you will iterate through the list using while statement, and print each item. Very simple, right? The execution will start and check whether the expression is true, in that case if the list is not empty. Then, look for the first item in the sequence or any iterable object. After executing the statements in the block, which pop the current item into a variable and print it out, it will re-evaluate the condition, and the process will continue, over and over again, looks for the next item in the sequence, and print it out, until it reaches the last item of that list, yellow, and becomes empty. Did you get it? Here is a last example, when you want to iterate through every single character of a string, because a string is a list of characters. This code will print out every single character of my string, until the condition, letter different than exclamation point, evaluates to false, or if the opposite, letter equals exclamation point, becomes true. And here you are, you just wrote your first Python iteration, using while loops. Was not that hard? If you liked this video, please, do not forget to give a thumb up, and subscribe our channel. Digital Academy, learn free. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Like, comment, and share.